Tonight, the judge-only trial for alleged serial killer Jeremy Skibicki continues today in Winnipeg.
I think there's room for improvement.
And questions arise about consumers getting any benefits from Ottawa's Nutrition North program.
Winner of the 2024 Arctic Inspiration Prize is...
And we learn who is this year's winner of the 12th Annual Arctic Inspiration Prize. Good evening, I'm Savannah Kelly. Welcome to APTN National News. We start in Winnipeg, where a non-Indigenous man who says he killed 4 Indigenous women is on trial. It's now up to a judge to decide if Jeremy Skibicki killed Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Buffalo Woman on purpose, or if he's not criminally responsible due to a mental disorder, or NCR. A warning now, details of the killings revealed in court today are disturbing. Our TR Wheatley joins us now.
It's the first day where people inside the courtroom started hearing testimony about how all 4 women were killed by Jeremy Skibicki. Before the judge entered the room, these red tobacco ties were offered to those attending the trial. Now, this is a ceremonial item that's meant to help carry your prayers from the physical world into the spirit world. This gesture was meant to help those attending as they would hear some gruesome details. Crown started off by telling the judge Skibicki met his victims at a homeless shelter in the inner city and that all 4 are vulnerable Indigenous women. Crown said all 4 killings were calculated as each one was choked and killed in Skibicki's bathtub. They said that Skibicki did vile sexual acts with the women's bodies, including necrophilia, and then disposed of their bodies like garbage. The Crown claimed Skibicki continuously acted out of hatred, and this was not a case of not criminally responsible on account of mental disorder. Instead, it was, in the words of the Crown prosecutor Renee Lajamodier, intentional, purposeful, and racially motivated. In the coming days, Crown said they would have over a handful of witnesses, including those who helped conduct a search of the Brady landfill where the torso of Rebecca Contois was found. Much of the day was spent talking about Contois. A video of Skibicki's interrogation was shown in court. It was recorded on May 17, 2022 and lasted 7 hours. He had no beard at the time. Detective Greg Allen of the Winnipeg Police was one of the interviewers. He was also the first on the witness stand today. Court heard Skibicki tell Allen, "I really just wanted to see how far I could go because the criminal system is a joke." Allen also said that when Skibicki was arrested, he showed no signs of mental distress. He appeared calm and told Allen that he wasn't on any psychotic meds, but that he was self-medicating with marijuana. It also revealed that Rebecca Contois' head was found in a green bag in a garbage bin in a back alley behind Skibicki's apartment block. The audio recording of the 911 call made by the man who found her head in the early morning hours on May 15 was played. Transcripts show the caller said he's a salvager going through bins looking for clothing. The caller said he moved the bag out of the bin but did not touch the head. "I took the bag only for fear that the garbage truck would be coming soon." Meanwhile, Skibicki himself sat facing the judge most of the time, not even moving his head to look at any video from his confession. The seats inside were filled with family members from all 4 women and supports from many Indigenous organizations, many of whom wore red. The women wore ribbon skirts and some of the men wore ribbon shirts. When video and audio played inside, many of them sat with their heads down and their eyes closed. The trial continues for the rest of the week with more witnesses from the Crown. TR Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
For more in-depth coverage of this trial, head over to aptnnews.ca, where you can see stories from our web reporter Kathleen Martins. And if you're triggered by this report and the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, supports are available 24/7 through a national crisis line. That number now is 1-844-413-6649. One person has been shot after an incident in Thunderchild First Nation, located 90 kilometers northwest of North Battleford in Saskatchewan. According to a Saskatchewan RCMP spokesperson, at around 11:15 Tuesday morning, someone called the Turtle Ford RCMP with a report of an injured person in Thunderchild. When they arrived, they found a male with an injury consistent with a gunshot wound. He was taken to hospital by EMS with non-life-threatening injuries. RCMP searched the area of where the incident occurred and located a firearm. Sources tell APTN News that the incident was gang-related and that the First Nation was put in lockdown for about 30 minutes as a precaution. RCMP continues their investigation. It's been 18 years since an Indigenous man was killed in Saskatoon, with still no one found connected to his death. Now the Saskatoon Police Service is renewing their calls to the public, hoping someone will come forward with new information. On the afternoon of May 5th, 2006, 23-year-old Huey James Assiniboine was found dead by police officers in an apartment on the 22nd Street West in Saskatoon. An autopsy later confirmed he died of a stab wound. At the time, police believed Assiniboine and another man got into a fight with a group of several others outside the apartment building. Assiniboine was stabbed during that fight and made his way into the apartment suite, where he died just minutes later. No suspects were ever arrested in Assiniboine's death. If anyone has information on this unsolved case, please contact Saskatoon Police or Crime Stoppers. We want to hear what you think about this or any other story you see here tonight. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. The Woodland Cree First Nation in Alberta is protesting against Obsidian Energy this week after the First Nation rejected the company's request to expand its drilling operations in its traditional territory. This video of a brief meeting between Obsidian and Woodland Cree leadership shows Obsidian handing a court injunction to Woodland Cree, ordering them to cease blocking access to one of their sites. Woodland Cree First Nation Chief Isaac Lebucan Avram is seen taking the injunction and putting it in a nearby fire pit. The chief says Obsidian staff have been acting without integrity in their territory, and they want the company to come to the negotiating table. Concerns in protecting the land escalated when a series of earthquakes rocked the Peace River region in November of 2022. Obsidian has disputed it was responsible for those quakes.
There's rules to be followed and respectful engagements that needs to be done. There's been a ton of impacts in our territory, and the lack of accountability. They were proposing to us, it's basically a mega build, and we're not just going to have it come in without proper consultations and accommodations.
In a statement to APTN News, Obsidian Energy says, quote, "While Woodland Cree senior leadership rejected our most recent proposed economic relationship agreement, we are open to meeting with them to further discuss the potential for an agreement." Canada's Northern Affairs Minister says it remains to be seen if Olive Nutrition North's food subsidy is now making its way to consumers following a 2023 study. We'll tell you more about that after the break. Welcome back to APTN National News. The Northern Affairs Minister says it remains to be determined whether all of the Nutrition North subsidy is going to consumers. On an upcoming episode of Nation to Nation, Dan Vandel says his government is committed to reviewing the program. This year's budget for Nutrition North is $144 million. The money goes to grocery retailers who are supposed to pass it on to shoppers through lowered prices. These prices are much higher in the north. But a 2023 study says only 67 cents on the dollar is being passed along. Minister Vandel says Nutrition North is a complex program.
I think there's room for improvement. What exactly the pass-through rate is, it's to be determined, but there's room for improvement. But having said that, having spoken to at least four researchers, they all say that Nutrition North is a good program. They're doing some good.
To see Minister Vandel's entire interview, watch Nation to Nation. It's on tomorrow, immediately following the national news. The Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations is calling a Hill Times article incorrect. Gary Anandasangari says it's not true, as reported, that the federal cabinet decided the fate of Bill C-53 on Tuesday, and that 3 options had been presented to cabinet, including withdrawing the legislation. The controversial bill recognizes the Métis Nations of Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Alberta as having self-governing rights. Last month, the Métis Nation Saskatchewan pulled its support of C-53, while the Chiefs of Ontario want it scrapped completely. Anandasangari told APTN News that the content of the Hill Times article was absolutely incorrect, but cited cabinet confidentiality when asked if C-53 had been discussed at all.
We've well past the time where the federal government makes decisions unilaterally. What we have with C-53 is a collaborative effort between the 3 Métis nations. We will continue to have discussions with them, and any decisions on the future of C-53 will be in collaboration with the Métis.
The Chiefs of Ontario have launched a lawsuit saying they are denied equal access to justice. In a statement of claim filed this week, it says many provincial and federal laws don't apply on reserve. First Nations can make their own laws to fill in those gaps, but the suit alleges governments don't provide enforcement of those laws or adequately provide funding to hire their own enforcement officers. To talk about this, we are joined by Caldwell First Nation Chief Mary Duckworth. Chief Duckworth, what led to the Chiefs of Ontario filing this lawsuit?
Hi, the Chiefs of Ontario brought litigation forward against Canada and Ontario for the failure to recognize that the First Nations laws need to be respected, enforced not only at the level of policing but within the courts. And what's happened is, with the new Police Act that came through on April 1st, 2024, it is absent of being able to provide any protection or measure of justice for the First Nations, because it is basically saying that they will not come onto the territory and enforce laws.
And what are the consequences of not being able to enforce First Nations laws on reserve?
The consequences is creating a lawless society whereby you would allow people that even the nation wouldn't want to be on the First Nation there, because we wouldn't have the ability to execute our laws, call the police and have them removed. And what it does is, it concerns me, because as the sitting chief, my responsibility is to the community, the members, and the protection of our people. And I'm concerned about the level of, in southwestern Ontario, of human trafficking, the amount of drugs that are moving through the territory, and the inability to protect our women and children who deserve the right of justice like any other person that resides in municipalities and other territories.
You kind of touched on this. I'm just wondering, what are some concrete examples of how inadequate funding is making communities unsafe?
Well, the inadequacy is the inability for us to execute our own laws and have the police enforce them and actually take it to the next level, to court, to be able to have it dealt with in a meaningful way. And I give an example of the Residency Tenancy Act. So within the First Nation, if there happened to be somebody there that was nefarious and doing, behaviors that were harmful to the community, and we had our law and enacted it and was going to move on it, we would require the police to come to assist in that, help us, with the prosecution and make our community safe. The act is absent of that. We are not able to do that. It doesn't speak to that. And it's very concerning. Like I said, it's a racist piece of legislation and we need to address it. We talk about, we're in a time of truth and reconciliation. And to me, those are empty words unless you can put action behind it. Those are empty words unless you can come to the table like the Chiefs of Ontario have been asking for the past 5 years to meet and talk about, safety measures and having the ability to access justice. And it's just not happening. And, we were in in Queen's Park, in March before the act was enacted to meet with MPPs and to discuss this. But, nothing moved and it just moved forward and it fell on deaf ears. And it's concerning to me as a citizen, as a chief that is responsible, for the care of the community.
And the statement of claim says threats came out of Ontario Indigenous Minister Greg Rickford's office when news of a possible lawsuit reached it. We've reached out to his office, but they won't comment on the case while it's before the courts. What can you say about what sounds like a serious allegation?
I'm concerned that somebody in power like that would respond negatively to the First Nation. I mean, you are the Indigenous Minister for Ontario, and I would hope in 2024 that we could have a meaningful relationship, a trusting relationship, a relationship that's respected with dialogue. Reprisals are something that we face within our territories every day. And, to have somebody comment like that concerns me. And at the end of the day, I look at the responsibility that I have and the responsibility that the Crown and Ontario has to the rule of law, which they always speak to on a high level. So apparently not having access to justice is a rule of law for Canada and Ontario. And that's not in keeping with truth and reconciliation. It's not in keeping with good relationships. And, we're neighbors. And so what happens on the First Nation will spill out into municipalities and other areas. And it just concerns me that, what I would hope for is that we could get back together, come together, get to the table, and let's work on this together and come up with a solution that will be befitting to the First Nations and Ontario. So I look forward to being able to, still work together. There's always a chance to come together before it reaches this level that it's gotten to. And part of it is there's nothing about us without us. We need to be at those tables. Setting up separate tables to address issues in our communities never works, is never worked. And I feel that there's an opportunity, and there always has been an opportunity, to work with the First Nation leadership to ensure our communities are safe, to ensure that we're good neighbors, and give us access to justice.
Chief Duckworth, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you very much for taking some time to speak with us today.
Miigwech.
We need to take one more quick break. Our photo of the day and weather are coming up. Plus, we'll tell you about some of the big winners of this year's Arctic Winter Prize.
This is a project of love and passion, and for need for youth to be leaders in their communities.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. On a clear night from the Gitxsan Nation, Clarence Jones shares this stunning full moon behind the silhouette of the forest. We always appreciate Clarence providing out for our photo of the day segment. And thanks to everyone who keeps sending those photos in. Send your photos to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting off on the east coast, 9 degrees and rain for Halifax, mix of sun and cloud for St. John's and 10 degrees. Sunny and 5 degrees for Nain, Kuujjuaq, +8. Quebec City, rainy and 12 degrees, Gaspé, mix of sun and cloud, +9. Toronto, mostly sunny and 14 degrees, North Bay, mix of sun and cloud, +15. Timmins, 15 above there, Sioux Lookout, mostly sunny and +16. Rainy in Churchill and 12 degrees, +17 and rain for Thompson. Winnipeg, sunshine and 23 degrees, Barons River and Princess Harbour, +15. Regina, sunshine and 19 above, North Battleford, +18. Stony Rapids, rainy and 15 degrees, La Ronge, sunshine and +18. Sunshine in northern Alberta, 20 degrees in Fort McMurray, high level, +20 as well. Red Deer, 19 degrees and sunshine, +17 for Medicine Hat. Penticton, 25 degrees and sunny, Campbell River, +23. Fort Nelson, +24 and sunny, Smithers, +20. Mayo, rainy, 11 degrees there, Rock River, +7. Sunshine and 15 degrees in Wauti, Fort Simpson, +20. Colville Lake, snowy, 1 degree there, and Nuvik, +4. Chesterfield, snowy and 0 degrees, +1 for Whale Cove. Clyde River, snowy and -9 there, Aglulik, -7. Despite being the least populated place in Canada, the North isn't short of innovators with big ambitions to help their communities. Last night, 10 teams from across the North got a significant financial boost thanks to Canada's biggest prize organization. Our Whitehorse reporter Sarah Connors was there.
On Tuesday evening, around 200 people from across northern Canada gathered in Whitehorse to celebrate the 12th annual Arctic Inspiration Prize. The annual prize is the largest in Canada. It recognizes diverse teams from across the North with innovative projects in things like education, health and well-being, and culture. Each year, it awards a $1 million prize, up to 4 prizes of up to $500,000 each, and up to 7 youth prizes of up to $100,000 each.
And the $1 million winner of the 2024 Arctic Inspiration Prize is Inutsiavik Center!
This year's $1 million prize winner is the Inutsiavik Center. The team plans to open a not-for-profit cultural center in Hopedale, Labrador. The project aims to revitalize the Inuktitut language and culture by providing accessible education and programming to the Inuit.
It's incredible. We're all absolutely speechless, and we are very grateful. The 1 million isn't for us, it's for Nunatsiavut. It's for all Nunatsiavut as a whole, and as the team members of Inutsiavik, we want to sponsor and promote all of us together, Ilunnata, all of us together as Inuit.
And the third winner is Hebron and Newtok Reunions team.
Other teams like Hebron and Newtok Reunions took home smaller prizes, though the money is still substantial. The Inuit communities of Hebron and Newtok and Labrador were evicted in the 1950s by the provincial government. The team will use its prize of close to $300,000 to help able-bodied elders temporarily travel back to their homeland in July.
We're doing this for the able-bodied ones, and everyone is going to have a chance to be honored and acknowledged while we're there.
4 teams were also awarded prizes in the youth category, including Youth Coalition for Food Security North. Its $100,000 prize will go towards connecting youth with food initiatives across northern Canada.
This is a project of love and passion, and for need for youth to be leaders in their communities.
The prize is funded by the Arctic Inspiration Prize Charitable Trust, which is made up of Indigenous organizations, governments, industry, and other partners. This year, more than $3.2 million was awarded to 10 teams from across the north. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
And that's all the time we have for your Wednesday news. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. And don't miss our new daytime edition of APTN National News, airing and streaming online every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. I'm Savannah Kelly. Marcy Miigwech, thank you for joining us. Have a great night.